Hi, today I'd like to talk about one of our folding knives that has tremendous cutting power, the Black Talon 2. This knife only weighs 4.8 ounces and it's 3/8 of an inch thick. It's thin. It's light and thin and a joy to carry. It has an S35 VN blade that's 4 millimeters thick and 4¼ inches long. The handle from one end to the other is about 5 3/4 inches, so it has a pretty good blade length to handle ratio. But the thing that I think you're going to really enjoy about this knife, other than its fabulous cutting power, is how thin and light and sweet it feels in your hand. You put this in your hand and your hand likes it. I think that these cutouts here that Andrew designed were really effective, and it feels just awesome in a saber grip like this. And I have lots of control over the edge, and I can put a lot of force into my cut with this grip. Now, let me tell you what this is. That's a jacket, a t-shirt, and look at the cut I made in the underlying meat. That cut's over an inch deep and it's 14 inches long. It is a little bit wide compared to some knives, but look what you get. You get a wide blade and that awesome reverse S-curve cutting edge. Now, I think the way to go is the serrated edge. We make it with the plain edge for people that really insist on the plain edge, but when you're looking at massive cutting power, that serrated edge will cut 3 times deeper than a plain edge in my experience. So this is what I suggest that you buy, is the serrated edge. And the thing that makes this knife work is this curve right here. This curve that melds and turns into that curve. Now typically, you will hit up here in the front half. You're going to dig that point in and drive the blade in. At the same time, if you're going to make a massive cut, almost as simultaneously as you can make it. You don't want to make 2 motions. It's one motion, you drop your weight and you start your pull. So you might be able to drive that much of the blade into the target, maybe half, diagonally through the blade, half of the blade in. So you got half the blade, so you're penetrating 2 inches into the target, and now you're starting your pull, which is going to drag that razor sharp edge. It may be as long as 3 feet. You can make a 3-foot long cut probably with this blade 2 inches deep. And the way we make ours, the point is acute, and I couldn't say that it's like solid and sturdy and thick. It is acute and pointy and sharp, but I can't also say it's fragile. I wouldn't call it fragile. So it's a pretty darn good point for what the purpose is. And it offers effortless penetration. You just flick with your hand and that point digs in deep. And if you hit in your stroke a little further back, you're going to get the benefit of this outward and then inward curving hump right here. So no matter how you pull on this or hit, you're going to get that draw cut through here that's going to come down here, catch here, and as you come off, you're going to drag that point through. So there's no escaping that edge. It's going to gather everything that it encounters and cut it. So this is all going to be gathered into this section right here and be cut or severed. So while its long suit is undeniably, for massive cutting, particularly in self-defense, but also I can make just as good a case for it as a utility knife, because anytime you have to cut thick fibrous material, this is a really good alternative, a really good knife to go to because of its massive cutting power and that reverse curved edge. Thin, light, handy. It's got that triad lock, so it's enormously strong. We've done tests that this easily held 150 pounds on the lock and passes all of our impact tests.
200 pounds. All right. Ready? Go.
And another thing that I want to mention is this is a particularly good buy. It's a bargain when you compare it to our competitor's knife at $320. That knife has a G10 handle, a very similar blade, and a VG10 steel that they use in their construction. Now VG10 is a very good steel, and it's strong and it's tough and it holds a good edge, but compared to S35EN, it's lacking. It's not anywhere close to S35EN in quality and performance. So we're selling this knife for $185, and our competitor is selling what I consider a lesser knife for $320 with less expensive components and a weaker lock. So I recommend, if you're interested in this type of knife, that you give the Black Talon a closer look. I think you're going to find it superbly comfortable. You're going to love how flat it is and how handy it is, and it's incredibly sharp. Take a look at the Black Talon. Spend your money wisely and get the most bang for your buck you can. Get a cold steel Black Talon too. I don't think you'll regret it.
I hit him, so show him where the meat is. Did you just barely touch that?
Yeah. Barely touched it. Let me go and say something.
How does it say?
I came up here and I was measuring my first stroke on this thing. I barely touched this thing, and it cut right through the cloth. I'm kind of embarrassed. Sorry. Okay, we're gonna cut it for real now. Black Talon, good luck.
Bad news.
You're in the sink.
We got to put the other one in the glove.
I bagged up all of this beef brisket that we have today, that we just cut, and I'm going to take it home and give it to my ranch hands for Sunday dinner. They're going to love this.
Nice.